G'day everyone. You're tuning into a team free-for-all frenzy hosted by All Reason No Logic. This match features 6 players in teams of 2. Representing All Reason No Logic, we do have Tank Tom in this game, and we have another 4 members of All Reason No Logic's Discord in this game, as well as one guest. My name is Twig. I'm joined by Praetor to throw out comments throughout this match.
Jumping into this slightly unusual format of 2v2v2, we've tried to balance the game as best as possible. And as you can see, the players are chatting. We've put them in their own voice channels, but Membrane, unfortunately, not able to jump into Discord, so you'll probably see a lot of his communication with pigs on the top of the screen, so you'll have some insight onto exactly what they're doing. Looks to be reasonably standard start for all players, not trying to group up and combine labs or anything on the islands, just trying to get a reasonably standard build going. These water channels are going to be what defines the game. If you're able to cross them and get a foothold on the other side, or if you're able to stop your opponent from making their way across, you're going to be in a good spot. Having played this game in the past, there's a lot of good spots for gauntlets and other such long-range artillery on the front line, and there's also a lot of opportunities for getting underwater vehicles such as turtles or ducks through to the other sides. Good amount of metal across the map. Each island having the same amount of metal and geos available to them, and all geos should be reasonably accessible for one of the other islands to get them. So, for example, the Pigs and Membrane Island has good access to the geo of the Rakusha and Ollie Island, so shouldn't be the easiest thing to keep those geos alive. Twig, what are your predictions for this one? What sort of units do you reckon we'll see?
It is an interesting start. We've got a pretty standard start down in the blue team, pigs into bots, membrane into vehicles, and similar to J King and Tank Tom, the red team, where you will see probably maybe some muskrats or beavers jumping in the water to build some maybe. I wouldn't mind seeing amphibious complexes. Getting those salamanders or something like that out can do a lot of damages. Then a bit of an unconventional start, I would say. Ollie and Rakusha, the green team, we got hovers and air. So air is definitely going to do a lot of damage if it can be built on this map undetected. And then the hovers obviously able to traverse very quickly across the map. Don't know if I love the Armada hovers as much as I do the Cortex. I mean, the crocodiles and the seekers are quite good, but you don't have a very heavy hovercraft like you do in the Cortex. I forgot the name of it, but they do have the very heavy hover tank.
And the
But there is
possum,
no hover butt.
the possum is
Yeah,
quite a
right.
nice unit because of the long range at the start. Something that I really like out of J King is his first combat unit was actually a Trasher, understanding that they're reasonably safe at the moment from ground attacks. So the thing that is going to be most effective for defense is getting some mobile anti-air, and it's just
We
paid
just
off
saw
in
a
killing a
shot
scout.
down.
Yep. But
Pigs
they're
TV jumping over to the aircraft plant as well.
not eating his bot lab though, which I think is a bit of a mistake considering that he's not going to have enough metal to get it up. But with so many mexes on the ground, the fact that the blue team went so heavily into constructors to start with means that they're claiming their island faster than anyone else. There's only one mex left for them to get.
And it's just about to go up. I was about to
Yep.
say, like, fantastic by that blue team, just spreading out. Good communication considering that they're not in chat. Both of them taking half their mexes each, whereas all other teams struggling to get all that metal income. And you can see at the top right of your screen, 41
41,
metal coming in
17,
for
32.
blue. So Tank Tom and J King a
Really
little bit
falling
slow.
behind. Yep. And that's because Tank Tom hasn't really expanded beyond the mexes he's taken at the beginning. He doesn't have a builder going around just taking all these mexes, and neither does J King. And the longer that goes on, the further behind they're going to fall. They do have some advantages though. So the hover start is the most expensive start in the game, and the air start is not far behind it. So they're definitely going to
Pressure on the
struggle a
right.
bit.
A couple split tanks by Membrane, a light blue player, taking in those Gar pikes. Quite a strong unit.
But they
And
do get a bomber across into pigs and into Pigs' side, but it runs into it runs into a large amount of anti-air, so good defending from the blue team, and good work getting the tank right on into the eco of Rakusha.
I wonder if this is going to chain react. We've got a few airs clumped in rows of 3, just those first 6. So is the possibility of a chain reaction, but now that it's 2, yep, it will chain react.
There we go. That's
You want to build in rows of 2 or put a space in between those wings so that they don't chain react. The Garpike doing a lot of damage.
He's such a tanky unit. 17 kills, most of those wind, and it's even hitting some of the air. That's another mechs down. So yeah, as we said, the most expensive start for the green players, and they just couldn't get that defense up enough to stop those couple of
tank
Garpikes.
got 18 kills, that Garpike.
What a strong unit. The hovers are expensive, but they're fast, and they can go over water, but that has quite well been mitigated by the absolute trashing of their economy. So really set behind. Looking up there, it's 250 energy to the 850 of red and 750 of blue. So that's a big fall off there, and they've fallen behind in metal as well. Bit of reclaim right there, but other than that, they're really definitely feeling it. Though if we look down at the red team, they still haven't taken the bottom half of their island.
Very disappointed in Tank Tom. I don't know if maybe he's playing in a generous way and letting half the mexes go to Orange, who is only 2 chevrons.
Look at Pigs.
King learning the game.
Pigs is jumping across with his comm.
The bowls on Pigs.
The balls on Pigs. I like this, though. As I said, if you can get a foothold on the other side, that means that your island is effectively safe, because if they do anything offensive towards you, you have the island on their base. But this is what Pigs need. This is what Pigs has missed. He's now getting another bot plant. He needs to consume his own and or his air plant, because this is nearly 2,000 metal into construction buildings, and that's a lot of metal.
Destroyer out on the field, 2 destroyers actually. So the blue team definitely, in my opinion, is in a commanding lead right now, just because of that economical advantage. Green team doing a really good job at building back all those mexes. Just the last one coming back up at the moment. Oh, sorry, there's a couple more down south. But the red team just, I don't know what's going on there. A little bit of lack of communication, and those mexes not coming up online.
We know that J King is relatively new back into the game, so Tank Tom might be devoting a lot of his energy to helping him get set up and getting him comfortable back into the game. Hovers now charging straight into those battleships, lose a couple of hovers, but they're now inside the blue player's base. They're trying to take out the sea plant, but they got it. They actually got it. They used the firepower of the oppressors.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for that. What do you call it?
Self-damage, I guess.
Yeah, splash
damage. Yep. So,
area of effect is what I was looking for.
very, very cost-effective use of those hovers. Unfortunately, the reclaim's still going to Membrane and getting another lab up quickly with that amount, though there was a little bit of overflow, but it just went to Pigs, so no dramas. Yeah.
I like his little move, but he did put a little bit of his commander's attention to building those LLTs. I would have just loved to see the commander punch out units and assist that lab as quick as possible. He's on the clock for being sighted. You can see on my screen that the player view of the red team has not seen those units. Just saw a gunship though. So we might just have enough though. If he pushes straight up that edge of the map, I wouldn't be surprised if Pigs can do quite a bit of damage.
Especially, like, it's 7 gunships right here with 8 thugs. That's plenty to take on a comm.
Blue has rebuilt their shipyard and now building a coral floating heavy laser tower, which will probably prevent any future.
This is the Pigs is on the offense. He's taking some damage onto those Banshees. Those anti-air bots that I mentioned right from the start, great out of the orange player, and the Whistler's backing them up, so they're not able to take the comm, but this is now a section of the island carved out for Pigs, and there are too many units there for Tank Tom to deal with in the early part of this game. Hovers getting onto the blue island as we're talking, but unable to drive up that cliff. So a terrible place to get on the island, and they take a lot of extra shelling for it. But they are on the island, and they are punching through. They're fighting some twin guards, but the twin guards are low on energy, so not firing at full effectiveness, and there's plenty of firepower to take them down. They just have to keep pushing on in and not wasting too much time on easily replaceable defenses. Fighting going on the other side. Whistlers just tagging those maces. Tank Tom taking damage on the comm. Those whistlers will eventually clean this up, but the thugs will be able to keep marching on in.
If the maces kept pushing through without stopping, they probably could have got to the base of orange, but now these fiends have caught up. So you got to commit to these pushes as quick as you can, and maybe some grunts would have been pawns would have been the better unit of choice just due to the speed.
The moment
with T2 up, I don't think that we're going to see that little attack win. And sorry, just jumping back. We've got some hovers that have managed to push through those LLTs and pigs with no units to defend.
Which is great.
We do have a Garpike.
Yeah, the Garpike going to clean these ones up along with the gunship, so I don't think they'll be able to take down. Oh, actually, yeah, they are. They're going to take down the air lab.
These are the crocodiles, the heavier.
Yeah, very strong. Stronger than what I'm used to seeing, because Hover's not the normal player of the day. Pigs not quite winning on the micro game, loses an extra builder, and that Hover should be able to outrun the Garpike as long as it doesn't stop, but it's getting surrounded by those Garpikes. One of the things that we got caught off with whilst this was going on, the moment if you make a play like Pigs did onto the other island, the moment that you're seen, you have to commit. You absolutely have to commit, because that's the time when you're going to have the most advantage, and anything beyond that and the other team is going to start pushing on in. And now we just have lashes that are going to constantly harass these units and eventually punch their way into the base. Some shelling happening on to the green side and attacking the green commander. He's trying to get jellyfish up, but unfortunately the jellyfish are outranged by destroyers. Few torpedoes getting in because of some bad movement choices by the blue team, but I don't think that it will be destroyed. I think it'll get out of range just in time. Nope, sitting in range, so it's just going to keep taking damage from those jellyfish. Something which you've got to be very careful of with your unit positioning. So it is going to go down to those torpedoes, and another one heading on in, but this one is actually going to have the firepower to take out the jellyfish. There it goes.
Good aggression on all fronts. We actually saw an even up of medal income for each team about a minute ago, but the red team, surprisingly, after such a deficit, is now pulling ahead because of that T2 transition. Upgrading each of those mexes has meant that the medal now is in an advantage, and Tom going in with the commander, looking at degunning maybe.
But he's taking so much damage. He's trying to chase. He's trying to chase a centurion. That just doesn't work for a comm.
And those for his comm bombs, I'm surprised we didn't see one there.
And just these few centurions pushing in and doing so much damage. The red team really, even though they're getting that eco up, they just didn't have the units to defend this. And sometimes you actually have to pause that eco just to make sure you don't lose something like this, because that's so much ground and so many mexes. And because there wasn't enough units, so many of the units went down as well, which is just a loss of metal.
Big's taking his commander back into his base. I wouldn't mind seeing a resbot put out on the field from that.
There's so much metal there to take.
Island bot lab, and reclaiming the 2,000 metal there.
Yep. And more centurions pushing on in. The lashes just unable. The control of the lashes just hasn't been there. Those should have really been able to kite these units, but instead Tank Tom sending them in, taking way more damage than they have to. Couple of Sheldons now in, taking these on, and that is cleaned up, and those Sheldons should be enough to push Pigs off the island, so great call getting his units off of the base. Quick look over at the green island, we see 12 crocodiles starting to make their way across. They did have a really good attack vector planned, but they've changed directions. They're coming in from where they came before. Couple of twin guards in the way, but probably not enough to stop that many crocodiles. We saw how effective they were before. But they're now heading in for that C play. They're going to try.
We might see a commander go down.
They saw the comm and they're going for it, and even if they don't get the comm, they're in the right position to take down the agitator, which really does need to go down. That thing has a range that extends all the way over the geo into that island, so definitely worthwhile taking that out, even though they didn't get the comm. And now these units are circling around. Looks like they might actually be going for the red players. We've noticed very little in the way of aggression between red and green. Green being completely occupied by blue, and Tank Tom being messed around by pigs on the blue team. But these Sheldons now getting the damage on, are going to push them off the island. But as that's happening, the army's going to be out of position for these crocodiles.
Big now with 4 labs, so I think needs to get up on that island and completely eco-stalling on metal shortly. So maybe we'll see a reclaim. But those crocodiles now going up and harassing a red. So nicely done out of Ollie and Rakusha. They were the team that was attacked the hardest at the start with that one amphibious unit. Now going and being the most aggressive team.
These units taking out the AA, if this is in order to allow that air push to come in, because I'm noticing a lot of air back in the base, then that's a good call, but otherwise it's a lot of wasted time to destroy something that wasn't a threat. So got to get those into the enemy, into the orange base. Lots of wind to take down, but these are in single file lines, which means there'll be absolutely no chain reaction possibilities, and you have to get quite a lot of shots on to kill these single lines. Not space efficient, but if you have the space and you're not planning to build more wind, then quite a good play. Energy converters going down, and the units have now been trapped in a circle between brutes and Sheldons, but they should be fast enough to push on through if they want to find out and meet pigs down the bottom. Lots of damage coming in. These crocodiles really are tankier than I would have thought.
While this has been done, over on the right-hand side, the light blue player has managed to use those destroyers more efficiently now to take out those jellyfish, keeping them just outside the range of the torpedoes.
Excellent.
Whilst this has happened, we're getting a build-up of rocket hovers from the green player, Ollie. Was building up more and more of this air.
The agitator has also been rebuilt by the blue player, which is a great zone of safety. So much range on that. I'm surprised that Rakusha went for so many jellyfish when he could have tried for an agitator.
Those jellyfish definitely good against the subs and also, of course, against boats, but they can be outranged. So they're probably even more effective against amphibious assaults, just scaring units from coming up onto the land.
Wasp gunships coming on in. Those will do great against those ships because there is no anti-air in the vicinity. A couple of thistles coming out, but thistles really not great against wasps. And those push the navy right the way back. And I want to see those head straight on in and get into the eco. I wouldn't even worry about trying to fight the front line. As good as the boats can be, getting these into the back line, into the eco, would be a far superior play. But if they do destroy that front section, it does open the way for so many possums. Huge number of missiles going off, aiming at that agitator. This should be enough. Oh, nope, they weren't at the agitator. They were at a unit in the sea. That is unfortunate. There was a attack command on the agitator, but all the units went into range of something else and fired off their payload before they got in range of the agitator. So if you're
transitioning into the salamanders, the red player, sorry to jump over that. I'm very surprised to see that the orange player, sorry, is it orange? Yes, orange player hasn't pushed through to take out Pig's remaining units there, possibly because of that sneaky peek concealing the radar, but now coming into vision.
And they did put some units up to try and defend that middle section of the map, though they're now going against all of those possums. Though they seem to have turned around and they are trying to go for the blue player. I definitely think the blue team is the current largest threat. All of those amphibious tanks, all of those battleships.
You say that, but they do have the lowest eco still.
But the battleships can absolutely run ravage along these coasts. The sea dominance is powerful here.
These rocket attacks good, but without the assistance of some crocodiles, I don't think these are going to stand for too long. Not much HP on these rocket things, rocket hovers, and they go down in just a couple shots.
The power of the rocket hover is that it's a T1 unit with long range, so you want to have those things sitting way back with something else with vision, giving you the ability to shoot while you're well out of range, whether that's a radar or some sort of scout that you keep sending in. Those rockets allow you to outrange defenses and punch on through slowly. They're a siege unit, not a offensive unit like how they were used just then.
Pigs going into gunships. One tip for these, you can see that they've been picked up and put down to land on the ground. So if a fighter happens to fly across the top and attack these, they will all explode at the same time. Similarly, if you pick them up and just do a single click for them to go into a specific direction, they will stay bunched up and be susceptible to all being picked out of the sky in one shot. Like one flak would take all of them down instantly. So what you want to do is do what Pigs has actually just done and spread them out.
Yep.
And then you can only go one at a time.
Something to note with air is that just about all air attacks are actually AoE, even if it's only minuscule amounts of AoE, so units on top of each other cannot fight. And there is no real anti-air for Tank Tom and the red team, so these units should be able to punch right on in rather quickly. A lasher is not going to take down one of these in any amount of time, so these players definitely running on the back foot for most of the game. Eco's evening up quite well at the moment.
I like what Pigs is doing though, and potentially taking him over. No, I thought he was going to go over to the green, but he's diverted back, and the flak is there. Going for the com.
Going for the com. I actually would have tried to take out the flak because you've got plenty of gunships and they would have been able to take it out. But getting the com is a pretty good trade, and it blows up and nearly takes out the flak anyway. But these gunships now retreating and heading off to the green players, see what they can get done. Green has an air screen, but it is not in the right place. We'll see how quick he is to react with them. Fighters coming on in.
Attack from Pigs, he could have actually continued on knowing that there wasn't much AA and gone and taken out J King's commander with those last three gunships, more than enough to take down a com.
Large number of Garpikes heading in, 14, 15. Like more than that, there are 18 Garpikes that are heading on in. Great D-guns by the green player. These units have been a bit slow coming up the ramp, so they've grouped up, and the D-guns have absolutely hit them hard. But with so many and spread out between the two different attack vectors, these units have managed to push on past more good D-guns. In fact, great D-guns. That's most of the force taken out, but the couple that did get in are still wreaking havoc. Currently, the
importance of the micro. Unfortunately, Membrane distracted with the Navy attacking Rakusha down in the south. There's Garpikes doing some damage.
The build power does go down, and that is a big deal. And there's more coming up here, but they're just sitting in range of some anti-underwater, so some torpedoes, so no damage coming up there, but still one of the wind farms taken out, quite a lot of the mexes, and most importantly the build power, which means that the green team is going to be unable to react to anything for a while. Something I didn't notice, top left corner of the map, the red team is going for some strong eco, double fusion going into a third, lots of conversion. If we look at the rest of the map, there is nobody else on a fusion at the moment.
I think the red team still needs to focus on getting this tier 2 eco up, and Tom has just sent a build order for one constructor. I'd like to see that assisted. And good to see Tom taking a res bot to resurrect that second commander.
Just
want to add,
in 45
I cannot believe
minutes,
how much AA is down south. We have our 39th Thistle coming up.
If
41,
this is,
sorry, 41.
If this is not tower defense, I do not know what is. But hey,
you're hoping for some high action and high defensive game. This is where to be.
Pigs is pushing in with gunships onto the red side. Again, still not enough AA. There's a couple of Manticores and a Fury, but that is not a lot of AA. It seems like it's going to be just enough to deter Pigs. But that was a lot closer than I would have liked.
Considering with probably not quite enough experience, you need to either commit or run on by and go behind. So he could have just gone straight up the side of the map there and not had the problem with the gunships just taking on the flak and losing.
Said this before, but attack vectors can be very, very critical. Trying to attack in the same direction many times tends to not work out super well. There are plenty of holes in the defenses of the red team and the green team if you just try a few different places.
I would like to see the blue team go a bit more onto eco. I do love the addition of the Lich. How do you pronounce that?
Lich.
Lich. That's it.
Good old nuclear bombers. I love to see them. They are actually my favorite unit in the game, with the exception of the Titan. Titan, big, chunky, and cheap. But the orange player, the red team, the longer they're left to their own devices, the longer they can keep this defensive side up, the harder their eco is going to scale. They're currently ahead only by 10 metal per second, but they also don't own half of their island. Big
Wow.
crocodile push coming on in.
Rakush
Gonna
almost losing the commander to that Lich.
um, taking a lot of damage, pulling the tanks out of the way. I don't love that because it leaves the Sheldons exposed, but there are plenty of units here to clean up all these hovers. Question is, will they be fast enough? And the answer looks to be yes. Even though these hovers are getting some decent damage in, they're not going to be able to push through to the eco, which is what you need them to do. Where did the nuclear bomb go off?
On Rakush's face. That Lich hit him and took him down to about 15%.
19%. I am disappointed I missed that, but it is good.
So two nuclear bombs is what it takes to take out a commander. 2 Lich hits. So, yeah, if he built up 2, he's got another one now. He could almost send that straight over, but I'd say there's enough AA up there now to protect Rakush's commander from going boom.
We've got Tank Tom's comm is up, and once he's up, I'd like to see an area reclaim. All this metal here really needs to be consumed, but it looks like the issue that the red team is going to run into is not enough build power. These guys have got the energy production, that back left corner. They don't actually have enough conversion, but what they're really missing is the build power. They're also going for an advanced geo on the front line. I really don't like that because it's in range of a gauntlet. That is not going to work out very well.
The red team actually overflowing almost 3,000 metal, and I do think it is a good move going into the T3 gantry, but I would be doing it closer to some build power.
They're currently reclaiming metal while they're full of metal. So all of this is just going to waste. There we go. They've seen that and they've stopped, which is good. But yes, finally getting some T3 power generation out of the blue team. They're getting their first fusion reactor up. And
so Tank Tom build some build power with this constructor that's about to come out.
Excellent. That is so necessary for these guys because they really do have the ability to eco quite hard with all of that extra. They're going for an Aphis now as well, so definitely
Membrane going into his first fusion.
Yep, and we've got a fusion out of the green player, second one coming up in a moment as well.
Late phase of the game. I do like to see Membrane. He has paused the construction out of the vehicle labs, put that weight command on so that we can focus all the metal to that fusion reactor until it is up and running.
Little air engagements. These two players have their units mostly over the middle of their bases, but when they reach the edge of their patrols, they do clash a little bit, so we keep knocking each other's air out of the sky every so often.
If you do want that to not happen, you're just going to need to take the aeroplanes off their default maneuver command. You can put it onto hold position if you want them to stay in their base.
Learning little bits and pieces here every day. Tank Tom
the one you don't want to put is Rome because it'll just go do whatever.
Tank Tom and J King, the red team, have managed to consume all that metal, so they're getting back to the reclaim, and they're finally taking a lot of their mexes. In fact, a couple of these mexes, it'll be the first time they've taken them all game. So
I'd like to see a ton of Shivers pushed out right now.
Yep, Shivers, if they'd built the other lab, then we would be asking for some Marauders, but you need something that's going to go across the map, and that is not Carganes. Those do not cross the water. Great defensive unit.
A ton of T1 light amphibious now onto his next lab, which is a vehicle lab. He's loving the labs this game. He's almost got more labs than units. But yes, T1s at this stage of the game, I don't think they're going to have much effect, especially when he's seen that there's a line of T2 units.
And we're getting a T2 naval lab as well out of Pigs. If someone in the comments can let us know just how many labs has Pigs built this game. Because we've also got that hover in the background. Still has his original bot lab.
Amphibs could do is potentially take out that comm there, but you'll see these fall pretty quickly. T2 versus T1 is a pretty quick fight.
But there is a lot of them. Though the Tank Tom has seen it, so this should be cleaned up relatively quickly. But can he get the T2 construction vehicles? Because will this prevent them from getting these mexes yet again? Doesn't look like it. They are reasonably sturdy, and they tried to go for the Sheldons. So
That is a
cleaned up.
big army of salamanders. This is the perfect time for Tom to just continue them on that vector and head them straight in, knowing that he's only up against T1. Oh, did I just hear a LRPC?
Where did you hear an LRPC?
I heard Ollie X of
LRPC from the green
LRPC
player up on the top
shoot
hill over there.
across to taking out that T2 mechs.
So,
And Karganath being built, not the unit for this game type because it can only play defensively.
yep. That LRPC essentially ranges the whole map, does it? Looks like it does.
I would like to see this T3 lab being
It does.
put over to Tank Tom's use so that we can see units being punched out. That team
Full on,
still overflowing metal.
full on
Now,
energy, full on metal. They need to get those Shivas across. A nice Shiva push would really clinch this game. Navy sitting around just in the corner, and another. It looks like Pigs is going for another pincer attack with those amphib units. Kargi trying to cross the water, but they're about to find out it is not Yeah, it's not amphibious. But all of the salamanders are heading across now. We'll see how much damage they get done. They're actually going to bypass most of the tower defense line, so they should be able to do decent damage. I wonder if the D-guns from Membrane will be good enough, but with so many tanks out,
I don't like to see both commanders together, though. Pigs and Membrane could be taken out
that
at the
surround,
same time.
that's a lot of damage. Took out quite a lot of the salamanders, but that was a lot of damage. Units heading on through the defensive area, not the best place for them. Want to see them go for the eco, but they have found the fusion reactor. Getting that is a big win, even though this is a decent metal donation. 1 com, 1 fusion reactor, and a couple of units pushing their way through. Great little push from Tank Tom. Now they just need to finish them off with some Shivas, but both players full on metal, so a build power issue still. Great damage coming out, all of the wind farm going down, a lot of the power generation, in fact all of Membrane's power generation except for a tier 1 solar has just been taken out, so he's going to be relying entirely off of overflow from Pigs, which thankfully is happening. No units coming out of the T3 lab yet. Definitely need
We
more
did see
power.
a Shiva come out. What's happening is we've forgot to turn on that repeat command. So only one unit building at a time. And
Unfortunately,
the Overseer plasma deflector is up. I'd hate to see a deflection from this frontline shield into the backline eco. So it only takes one shot from those LRPCs to take out an advanced converter when they're bunched up next to other units like that.
Pigs' naval ships, T2 Navy, is now shelling down on the red team. Just unable to hold these bottom mexes through the whole game. The LRPC doing decent damage, more shields coming up, and it looks like the red team is just going to stick in the top half of their island and leave it to that. Finally, some Shivas on the way. The repeat command still not on, and an anti-nuke coming up, which is a great idea, though no nuclear weapons on the field at this time. We saw some conversation between Membrane and Pigs. Unfortunately, they're the only two not on comms because Membrane doesn't have them available at the moment, and that meant that the attack that came through, he wasn't given the warning from Pig's side that it was coming, so that was part of the reason for the damage, which is unfortunate.
Barely getting to this late phase of the game. I'm surprised that we're still with all three teams 35 minutes in, and maybe we're going to see some game-ending plays shortly out of the red team if we can just get those tier 3 units up and repeated.
Just a quick moment for metal excess and energy excess, the red team is absolutely dominating on that side with 18k metal excess and 1.9 million.
Devastating.
1.9 million No, no,
Not
they're dominating on it.
devastating.
They're dominating on wasting metal
Devastating
and wasting
themselves.
energy. They've wasted more metal than all the other teams combined to a factor of infinity. And they've wasted more metal, more energy than all the other teams combined to a factor of 3. I shouldn't have done maths on stream. That
Holy
never
X about to
works.
go down to Pigs'
Oof.
nice push with those T1 tanks. So I did say that they're not going to find much value against
But when it
T2
comes right on
units,
the edge,
but they can take out a com if you've got that many.
yep, and there are so many wasps.
Repeat has been turned on, FYI, so we're going to stop seeing some wasted metal.
Thank goodness that team
Put it
has.
into perspective, that would have been about 9 shivers that could have been built with all that metal wasted.
If you converted the energy across, it's actually closer to 15 Shivas.
Well, what was that? We've just seen a catalyst go up from Rakusha. I love that. So that there has a nice and big range. If we show with my cursor here, which I cannot use. There we go. You can see all the way to that point there, where you can get the catalyst out.
Yep.
That's the catalyst over there.
Catalyst over there, so great unit there. Manages to punch through shields because it is a missile and it cannot be intercepted by an anti-nuke, so great way of breaking a deadlock if you're ever in one.
I'm liking these dreadnoughts out of Pigs. They have kept Red out of this team, and Tom needs to watch out for that commander there.
He definitely does. As good as the dreadnoughts are, I actually think they would have been much better off being longbows. Potentially one or two dreadnoughts backed up by longbows. Because those longbows would have the penetrative range to punch deeper than just the coastline.
Even the paladins. Paladins, I think they have a
Paladins have decent
torpedo.
range. Oh yeah, they do have the
They
torpedo.
will prevent a little bit of those salamanders penetrating, and there goes another catalyst hit.
Caught that one just on the edge of the screen, so that catalyst doing really well. More build power is going down for the T3, but we're finally getting a bit of a T3 push. I would not be pushing those into the battleships. They'll take too much damage in the early phases. I'd be trying to take out the LRPCs, because the Shivas will be fantastic at taking on the LRPCs. No defenses up there, and that is something the team has to deal with. Shields are good, but eventually the LRPCs will punch through them in those numbers.
Just a look at the ecos, and Red definitely up there with green at the moment, both with a massive metal income. Blue just still recovering from those salamander pushes. I would like to see a big amount of resbots come out to resurrect that fusion reactor that was lost.
Green is currently the leader for eco because they're actually utilizing what they're doing. JK has had the eco advantage for the longest time, but he has not done anything with it. He hasn't been able to convert it. Need build power. Definitely need conversion. Yeah. And we have a calamity coming up.
Wow. I mean, they've had the medal for it.
Yep, and I mean, well, actually, just a quick look at their statistics. If they had that 18.8k medal, they actually would have an extra 33% of that calamity's cost. So certainly a bit of an interesting choice, especially considering firing a calamity consumes so much energy. You need more than...
Sorry to jump in, I'm worried for the blue team. We're about to see the commander for Pigs get spotted, and instead of resurrecting the light blue commander, they have reclaimed it for the 1000 medal. Oh, just in time. By chance, Pigs has gone down to build some titles with the commander, and now it's not spotted.
Thankfully, there wouldn't be anything they could do about it being in there anyway, because none of these units fire while they're underwater. The Pig's coming back. He's actually putting himself back in danger. But these units are going to roll through. There is enough here to absolutely wipe the blue team. Those T3 units with the salamanders are going to just pump their way on through. Pigs' only way to keep in the game is to stay hidden underwater and then hope to build his way back in hidden, try some sort of cheese, though I don't see that being much of a viable option. Looks like it is not the day for the blue team, and it looks like all of the eco from the red team is paying off. But now they have to fight the green team, and the green team's biggest adversary this whole time has been Membrane on the blue team. They've been constantly having to deal with him from the start, and now they're going to be free to try and take on the red team, though with the red team having T3, it may not be enough.
Unless we do a good airstrike. We do have flax, quite a few.
And there is a
I
lot
say
of
quite a
air.
few. I only mean 6. And yeah, because it's such a small island, and we do have Catalyst here as well, taking out build power. We might actually see a chance out of this team.
We've just seen that they've noticed one of the shields is down for the red team. And with all that
We've
eco
got
being pumped
scalpers.
into the Calamity, they really are struggling. And they're trying to build a Calamity and an Aphis at the same time. They don't actually need more energy. They're massively overflowing on energy. They're overflowing on energy by 10k at the moment.
They need build power, and they need to build shields, and they need to attack with those shivers. I just think focusing on, because it's such a short map, you only have to walk the shivers for about 60 seconds and they're on the next island. Right now, Tom has a number of shivers and salamanders on the south island that could be walking on in, and there is nothing in their way between that south island and Rakush's commander and build
They're,
power for that T3 gantry apart from 2 scorpion turrets.
and 18 wasps, and the value of those wasps cannot be understated against Shivas. Wasps do so well against Shivas. Looks like
They
we've
will
got
take them out, but the build power will get taken out.
looks like we've got a frontline pulsar getting in on this party, and the catalyst turned on the red team. That is another shield down. So it is all of the important shields down for the red team. So no safety for them, and more eco is coming up for the green team. If we look at the incomes, they're actually reasonable. They're more even than they should be. But the
Those gunships being pulled and now going to take out those shivers with no defense, like you called it. Best to use units when you've got them. Unfortunately, all of them going down, and that is going to be an exposed commander with Tank Tom walking in there. If those gunships take a left-hand turn, it could be a bit of an oh no.
Leaving Shivas on an empty island is not doing yourself any favors. Either bring them back for repair and coordinating with the army, or send them across and try and get some damage done. Because even though they're a large metal donation, if you lose them, if you were able to take out all the build power around the T3 gantry, or if you managed to snipe a Aphis, that would be huge damage done. But there's still 14 Shivas on the map for J King. Just got to try and get them, and just got to get them across. Though we've got 2 nuclear bombers from the green team. Those almost certainly will punch on through. There is not enough flak to shoot down all of this anti-air at the same time. And these bombers, where are they targeting? They go for the Shivas. Not the best drop of the payload, but I think they'll get a second shot off. Depends on just how much flak. No for that one.
Focused
Oh, 2 dragons. 2 dragons coming on in. I didn't even see those being built. They're fighting the flak, but if there's one air unit that can fight flak, it is the dragon, and they are concentrating on the Calamity. Not what I would be firing at. That thing had no chance of coming up, but the build power starting to go down. That's what you need
what's
to
happened. We're about to
off.
see a loss. Tom's commander did get taken out by those gunships on the South Island.
Oh dear.
So,
and the Shivas are going to the wrong island.
Oh no.
And the Marauders are just gonna march on in because there's no defenses.
I am very surprised with Tom's experience that this has happened. The coordination's not been there.
Why are the Shivas heading towards the units that kill Shivas? I'm so confused. And now, yeah, we have Marauders just heading on into the eco, and Dragons plowing on through. That's the metal conversion. Soon to be the rest of the metal conversion, and that's going to be basically all she wrote for the red team. There is...
I think probably a little bit confused. Where was the explosion from the comm? It was a decoy. J King just hiding up in that corner there.
But yeah, this was unfortunately very sloppy play out of the red team. They basically, other than pigs in the bottom side, had the best eco and the most control for the entire game. They had the best units. They had the most resources.
Finally,
They
some
had the
shooters got pulled and a commander's just gone down
yeah, they had the best
on the right hand
capabilities,
side.
but just bad decisions on what to do with their units and being overly cautious. And that Shiva push is now over. Green is smartly putting their last comm in the back corner, invisible. And now it's just
Red,
time
what's
for
quickly going to resurrect though? I like to see it.
some cleanup because there's oh wow, look at the fusions in the top left corner. Each one of them on basically no health. All it will take is another shot out of the LRPCs, but that has not happened. Shiva's pushing their way across into the most defended area. Unfortunately, not going to get enough damage done here, fighting with those marauders, getting hit by the mantas.
I think
And
we can see where this game's going, Prey. What do you think should have been done differently, obviously,
oh,
apart from that aggression, like just using your units?
so Red had this game in the bag if they built build power and conversion and units.
In a
It's
map
not.
like this, I think something they could have done with that excess of metal is hover spam, just simply sending repeat orders on hover labs straight across these islands, because those are T1 lightweight hover bots, don't cost very much, and you can just get them over there, out there for the vision and the harassment, and it will keep that other team completely busy.
I don't disagree with that, but that's the thing. That would have been spending money on units, which is exactly what I wanted, because they had the metal, they had the energy, they had the T2. They didn't have the conversion, they didn't have the build power, and they just didn't build units. And when they knew air was out there, they sent their units that couldn't fight air to fight the air. And when they were when they were taking shelling from the front and it was reasonably undefended, they never even tried to take out the LRPCs. So the spam would have dealt with the LRPCs. The more Shivas would have dealt with them. Just unfortunately, not the right calls out of the red team. They had the power, but they didn't have the decision making.
And that final commander potentially about to go down, certainly with those marauders coming around the back, and a very nice, persistent, constant harassment out of the green team has got them the victory.
I was very happy with the green team. They really did suffer a lot of pain at the start of the game, but they managed to push back. And the moment they realized that they didn't have to deal with blue anymore, they really went into hyper aggression on red and stopped red from exploding the way they should have. Quick look at
You can
the
really
end.
see in the statistics there that the green team, the only team with a positive damage efficiency of 148%, the other two teams bringing in 80 and 73 with quite a few inefficient trades. Obviously, you're going to get inefficient trades when you're sieging a base,
Mhm.
but I think that was the defensive plays by the red team where they lost a lot of efficiency, and the blue team maybe some poor decisions with what units were built at a few stages in the game.
Also, if you look at their metal excess and their energy excess, 4 metal excess and the lowest energy excess in the game. What a great set. What a great job out of those two guys. And jumping
Now
in
I can forgive energy excess, but metal excess
is
in any
not
game of
okay.
bar, it's throwing away a win, especially if it's anything more than just a little dribble.
And if we jump into the energy produced, if we look at the graphs, look how hard the red team took off with their energy production, and look how hard they took off with their metal production. Um, they really did have this one in the resource bag. They just weren't able to. They just weren't able to take it off. But great, and for the early game, fantastic play out of the blue team. They really did have the early game on lockdown. They just didn't transition into that T2 phase of the game as well.
If you check out our one versus ones, it is quite a reflection on Pig's play style. He is very dominant in the early game, but just gets a little bit fuddled up with those decisions going into T2. You see, I don't know how many labs it was. Hopefully, there's a comment down below. There was at least 6 labs out of Pigs in that game, and nothing wrong with building lots of labs. It's just you don't want to have them all up at the same time. You want to
Yeah.
get that metal into units and not into labs.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us. If you liked the game, leave a like and subscribe. If you want to Let us know anything in the comments. Jump on down, let us know. And if you're interested in playing with us either in a stream or in one of our 1v1 or FFA series, jump onto the Discord link in the description. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Sure.